Hey guys, it's Jay. So this is a bit of a different video. Here I want to try to detail the mechanics of an upcoming feature, water and buckets. So these probably won't be included in the next update. There's still kind of a few issues with how I've implemented them. I just kind of thought it would be useful to introduce them and kind of talk about how they function. Just as a little warning, this video might be a little bit boring because I'm going to kind of delve into the technical details of how water functions, so if that's not your cup of tea, you can skip this one probably. I'll start by talking about the bucket. Buckets are a new class of tool that are capable of picking up and placing water blocks. By right-clicking on a pool of water, you'll see its volume being reduced as your bucket is filled. If you look at the toolbar, you'll see that the meter of the bucket is being filled each time we pick up more water. This is also visible in the inventory. Currently, wooden buckets are capable of picking up the equivalent of 4 blocks of water in volume. To keep my explanation simple in this video, I'm just going to refer to the volume of a single block of water as 1 unit. So essentially, the volume of water that a single wooden bucket can hold is equivalent to the volume of 4 blocks. As you can see, we've placed water in each of these 4 empty slots, and the meter of our bucket is now completely drained. So we can see that our bucket was holding exactly 4 units worth of water, and now it's holding none. So if you haven't noticed already, unlike in Minecraft, water in VoxelVale is a finite quantity. This means there are no ways of infinitely generating water, at least no intended ways. It's also worth mentioning that water in VoxelVale can only be placed on the ground level, so that is the level that is directly above dirt. At its core, how it functions is that each time a water block is placed, it forms what I'll refer to as a network of water. So currently there are 5 networks visible, the huge pool of water on the left, and these 4 smaller networks that just consist of 1 block of water each. The key property of water networks is that their volume only changes if you add more water or if you remove water from them. So as I break these blocks, the volume of this network does not change. The water is just dispersed through all the new empty spots. There is, however, one small subtlety when you're picking up water from a network. Basically, the game will always try to fill your bucket with 1 unit of water by reducing the volume of the water network accordingly. But any given block of water can't have volume below 0.1 units. If there's a situation in which reducing the volume of a network by 1 causes any of the blocks in the network to have volume below 0.1 units, the bucket will only be filled with the current volume of the block you're hovering. So that explanation was a little convoluted, but let's illustrate this by trying to pick up water within this network. So as you can see, the volume of this network is so low for the amount of water blocks that exist within the network. It requires picking up each water block individually, the first one several times, to get all the water from the network. So after we've removed all blocks of water from this network, we can see now in our inventory we're holding exactly 1 unit of water, which is the same that we started out with, so it's working correctly at least. Now we can look at the behavior of water when 2 water blocks from different networks intersect with one another. We can see that when 2 water blocks from different networks intersect, it creates a new network. This new network's volume is just the sum of the previous 2 networks' volumes. In a similar vein, we can now look at what happens when we place a block that disrupts a network. Basically, if a block is placed in a way that would separate a water network, it creates separate water networks for each of these 2 new sides. So in this case, we've now created 3 separate water networks. So the volume of the previous network is still preserved here, but it's been dispersed between these three new networks. Each of these newly created networks now behaves independently. So we see that if we take water from one of the networks, it has no effect on the other two. The last thing that I'll say is that earlier I said volume is always preserved, but that's not entirely true. Let's place 1 unit of water in this strip. If we place blocks at the end of this strip, we'll see that we'll reduce the network in size, but the volume remains the same. So when we pick up this final block of water, we see that it's still equivalent to 1 unit of water. Let's do the same thing, but now place 2 units of water into our strip. If we place 2 wooden blocks, we see that the 2 remaining water blocks now have full volume. So if we place a third, we can see that we lose 1 unit of volume from our water network. That is to say that even though water is a finite quantity, it can still be destroyed, so you could feasibly lose all the water in your world. In the future, there will be ways that water networks will be regenerated, but for now it's finite and you can run out. So I guess now I'll just show you guys some footage of water in action. Here's me transferring one large body of water into an equally sized container. You can see here at the end the volume of water is preserved. Alright, so that pretty much wraps everything up. Special thanks to my Patreon member David Farron. Again, this probably won't be released in the next update, but probably the update after that, so if you're looking forward to this, stay tuned. Alright, thanks so much guys, bye bye.